good morning, my awakened folks. We have been through a roller coaster journey over the past 2 weeks. Time for the third book, right? There I have with me. That's end. So there is the third part of the series. There is one more part left, which is the fourth book of the extended series by Bausch. That also I'll cover in the next week. So this book is literally the magnum opus of the series because the volume of this one is more or less like the other two books combined. And the first two books, if it would have blown your mind away, this one will just drive you crazy. Right. So in the first book, we got to know about the Trisolaran invasion, that they are coming for us. In the second book, the story progresses by giving a lot of more background details and all, and humans also came to know about the dark forest theory. And at the end of the book, an effective deterrent force was also established. So there was this mutually assured destruction sort of thing. You come and kill us, we will disclose our location, and then you also die. Right? So that's how an effective deterrent was finally established. Now the third book starts off with a very strange beginning. I mean, when you start reading the book, you will see that the book moves back to the 14th century, I think, and starts off with the invasion of Constantinople by the Turks. So this war is going on. Constantinople is being ravaged by attacks from the Turkic forces. The emperor was trying to devise ways on how to solve the war, and what they have finally decided was the only way to stop it is by assassinating the Turkic Sultan. So how do they do this? So it was at that time that a news was going on around Constantinople regarding this witch who was literally able to steal anything. I mean, even she was able to pull out the heart of a person without cutting the body. So she can just extend her hand inside, pull out the heart, and effectively the person died. Right? So she was then given the task by the emperor and his ministers to kill the sultan. Now one night she goes to this place from where she used to effectively do her witchery. She goes there and then he vanishes and she is nowhere to be found again. That's the cliffhanger on which this weird, strange story at the beginning of the book stops. And Constantinople is ravaged. Right? So now, after this weird start, you get another completely new story that is coming up. So, in the second book, we got introduced to the Wallfacer project that had come up, right? To find out strategies to defeat the Trisolarans. So at the same time, some other projects are also going on to help humans in this regard. So one such other, a bit less insignificant project was the Staircase project. So what the Staircase project meant was to get some better understanding of the Trisolaran civilization, to either understand their ways of life, to understand how they think and all, and to find some ways of getting truth with the Trisolarans. It was necessary for a human to directly interact with the Trisolarans. So that was the fundamentals. So till now, Trisolarans know everything that's going on in the earth, every strategy that has been formulated, but we don't know anything about them, right? And we cannot even think of knowing anything about them. Whatever we have known is from the discussions that were seized from the ETO ship. So then they discussed that Earth, we have to send a human being from Earth in a spaceship which will travel much faster and would be able to intercept the Trisolarans at somewhere on their way before they reach Earth. And then this person would mediate the peace talks, right? So that was the objective. Now, how do we send something as fast as it would be able to intercept the Trisolaris at a significant distance from Earth. So this technology was developed by using some uh, a very thin sail connected to nuclear bombs, which will detonate one after the another, so that the probe actually accelerates faster and faster as it travels through the way, and then reaches much faster speeds. I mean, I don't know. So every speed is shown as a fraction of light speed. So this was also supposed to reach some. I'm not sure about the number. Anyway, it's much faster than normal human spaceships could have traveled. But the only issue was it has to be made extremely light. Now, how light? So there was a discussion going on with the scientists in the BDC or the Starfleet Corporation, whatever the name of United Nations was at that point of time. So we could not send a human being because it was like 70, 80 kilos, and the limit that the ship would be able to carry was somewhere, I think, 200 or 300 grams. Finally, it was decided. So then we got introduced to this person called Wade. So he was a no-nonsense person, just like how Dashi was. So he said that the Trisolarids were much advanced than us. The lightest thing that we can send from Earth to the Trisolarids, which will have the capacity of giving views about human civilization and also understanding how Trisolarids work, was the human brain. So, and the assumption was that the Trisolarids would be sufficiently scientifically advanced and they would be able to revive the brain and give it a body or whatever. I mean, they would be able to extract knowledge and communicate with the brain. So now that decision was made. Now how to get a fresh brain from? I mean, getting a fresh brain meant that someone has to die, right? Someone has to be literally killed and the brain extracted before sending it on the probe. There was a lot of moral discussion that happened around this topic. Now we got introduced to one more parallel story that would connect into this story. So around that time, civilization had progressed a lot and people were getting more and more acceptive about the thing called euthanasia. So terminal illness patients could go for euthanasia. Right? So that was the premise. So then we get introduced to this grand character called Yoon Tianming. So Yoon Tianming, we get to know of a background story. So he was also again a physicist, not a very acclaimed one. He was in college. He was someone who was sort of an introvert. He couldn't talk a lot, but then he meets this girl who is again going to become a very grand character, Shen Xin, who interacted with him for the first time, and he felt some sort of connect with the girl, and again, love at first sight. One-sided love at first sight happened. So the girl later on moves to a bigger city, progresses a lot in life, and he stays back in that small city, gets a menial job, and starts working. Nothing improved in his life. Finally, he got diagnosed by terminal cancer, and basically he was just lying like a cabbage towards the end of his life in some medical institute. Now we also got to know about the background of his family, how a lot of money needed to be spent just to keep him alive, how his sister, who was trying to show that he's become a burden in the family. So all these things, and his heels, just like I said, he had this one-sided life towards Shenshin, which is also moving nowhere. Finally, he gets so much distressed with everything that's happening in life, and he also decides that the best thing is to just die. So he also approves himself for euthanasia. Now, when this process of showing Yoon Tianming's story was going on, he happens to come across a financial fortune. So during his college days, I think he used to make some sort of drink, which was healthy and all. It had a good taste and all. So one of his friends used this recipe, whatever he had, and started a company which became a successful startup. He landed with a lot of money. Now, out of gratefulness, he comes to meet Yoon Tianming and he offers him a huge amount of money, $500 million or something around that. I mean, it was a significant amount. So he gets there a lot of money. Now there is one more story that was going on around at that time. So science was progressing in a parallel way. I mean, new cities were being developed in space, new spaceships were being made, a lot of population moved to the space. And at the same time, people were also exploring the nearby stars where they can move to, right? So now, just like normal human nature, a lot of these stars were being put up into auction by the United Nations, and people could actually purchase stars with some significant amount of money, which would then later be used by United Nations to develop our own defense and space technologies, right? So what Yoon Tianming does is he uses the entire amount of fortune that he gets, and he purchases this star, right? And before he made the decision to go for euthanasia, he also says that he is going to leave the star behind for Shang-Xin. But she never even tries to know or tries to find out where this gift has come to her from. So that's one side of the story. Now on another side of the story, Shang-Xin was a part of the project to find this human brain that has to be sent to outer space, right? So she was in Wade's team. She was a team member from the Staircase project that was being led by Wade. So again, the Staircase project was also an idea of Shang-Xin only. It shows some, again, the male dominance of our society. Even when she pitched this idea in United Nations, people actually let her to speak, not because she had a genuine idea, but because when she would stand up, these men would be able to admire her entire figure to the whole. So that's why she was made to stand up and deliver her pitch. So anyway, she had to find this brain to be sent to outer space. And again, because the friend of Yoon Tianming who had found this startup, so she meets him somewhere, and there that guy tells her that he met Yoon Tianming some time back. He was in his last stages and has asked for euthanasia. And it clicks her mind that, yes, I have got the brain. So she reaches out to Yoon Tianming. She goes to meet him, and just look at this guy, just like any other human male. His hope for humanity still remains. So he thought that somehow Shang-Xin would have found out that it was him who had gifted the star, and she would have come to meet him, or maybe have a final goodbye or something else. She comes up and just explains the staircase project to him and asks him if he is wanting to volunteer for this. Just let this thing digest for some time. I'll give you some more weird views now. So now, he was utterly lost. He didn't say anything. He agreed to whatever she said. Now just think about it. We don't know what the Trisolarans are capable of, right? They captured the brain. Let's say if they captured the brain, right? Till now we know they are not benevolent. Now they can make this brain live for the entirety. They can make it suffer to the most extremist condition. And the person who is in that brain would not be able to do anything. Just think about the kind of torture that we are willing to risk. And where did this woke community go when the project was getting approved? Just think about the selective outrage of the woke community. I mean, this community is still angry at Luo Ji because he has ensured the deterrent policy which is keeping the world safe, right? They are even hating him for the spell that he had cast on the star which got destroyed. So Luoji was like 150 years old at that point of time. So yeah, Yoon Tianming goes through euthanasia. His brain is not exactly euthanasia, so his brain had to be kept alive. So his brain is extracted and the brain is sent. And the story also shows that the probe which was carrying the brain comes under some accident and it just gets lost. And that's why the staircase project is also put at halt. Now, when the staircase project just got started, because Shengshin was involved, the core of it, so she also goes into hibernation so that she's awakened when the brain makes contact with the Trisolarans. So she doesn't know that the probe actually gets into an accident and gets lost, right? Now, Luoji, who was the person who had created this mutually assured deterrence, was unanimously selected as the sword holder. The names are hilarious. So sword holder basically means he is carrying the button, the dead trigger, which controls the future of both the Earth as well as the Trisolaris. And humanity could not find another person who can replace and ensure the same amount of threat continues. So he just sits in a closed room in a secured location under the Earth, and he just has the control to the trigger. Now, within that frame of time, the trigger was made a lot more secure. There were a lot more number of satellites, a number of antennas and all set up across the Earth to monitor the progress of the Trisolaran fleet. And it was at that time the two ships that had fled the first Trisolaran invasion with the droplet, they also made up a decision to come back to Earth. And these ships were also having a gravitational antenna, which could again declare the location of Earth to the universe. So the deterrence policy was carried forward to one of these ships also. And one ship actually reached Earth before the other one, and it was immediately seized by the United Nations of that time, right? Because they had committed crimes against humanity. But humanity, because they had tried to get into this fight in which they obliterated 3 other ships just to ensure that humanity needs to survive, and only 2 ships had sufficient food and fuel to survive. And they were imprisoned. They were thinking they would be getting a hero's welcome, and they were put to prison. So they send out this SOS message to the other starship, which then escapes again. So, and by that time, the Trisolarans had also come to this reality that some sort of agreement has to be reached with the humans. And so the discussion about invasion and all had been lost again for quite some time. So on the contrary, they were making Hollywood movies, they were writing fiction, they were writing music. These Trisolarans, they were even winning Academy Awards for Trisolaran movies based on human life. And they were using, so later on you would come to know that they were using these movies, this fiction, this writing, these poems, literature, history, etc. to actually train themselves. Because we have already discussed, right? These Trisolarans cannot lie, they cannot hide what they mean, they cannot strategize in secret, right? So they were also trying to get more and more close to how humans behave, and they were learning how the humans strategize, how the humans lie, how the humans plan things. And they were also winning awards at all award functions, at literally awards, etc. So that's how, again, the humans forgot that they have this impending risk that was coming up. People became more and more complacent, they became more friendly, more woke, again tie-ups with the Trisolarans started, and again they started hating Luo Ji, who was still holding the death trigger. And hilariously, quite some time had passed, right? Quite some time had passed, and the writer of Shishin Liu also hilariously brings out again the nuances of human nature. So there is one saying in English that if you lose your humanity and morality, you lose a lot. But if you lose your bestiality, you lose everything. Right? Remember these words, and I'll try to connect the dot later on. Right? So, and humans had actually started in a new way of dealing with everything around them. So there was less violence, everything was happy, everything was hippie, and strangely, men started to look different. So there would hardly be anyone who would have beard, there would hardly be anyone who would talk roughly, everything became more and more feminine, more and more loving, more and more caring, more and more friendly. So people stopped actually, the humans, the males of the previous generations that we are accustomed to even now, these kind of men were non-existent at that point of time. When 50, 60, I think 100 years had passed by that time. Right? A lot of time. So that's how the earth was progressing. Everything was happy, everything was pleasant. Now Luo Ji was also getting old, right? So the discussion was going on around the world to find his successor, who would be the next sword holder. This is the point at which Shenzhen was brought out of hibernation. Because one of the reasons being she was the owner of the star, and that star was supposedly, some star system had some planets that were discovered, and those planets were supposedly contenders where humans can move to, right? She was brought back to life. She was, because of the valuation of the star increased a lot after the discovery of the planets. She was quite rich. I mean, she made a fortune basically. At the same time, because she has found a planet which can harbor life, she was also being seen as a mother who can harbor the children of Earth in future. So her personality, her ratings as a human also increased a lot. So she was automatically someone who was becoming more and more of a contender for the next sword holder. So we don't need a beastly person, we don't need a person who is unpredictable, who is threatening, we need a docile human being who will resolve everything through love. Now Thomas Wade, who was initially the no-nonsense man, the person who led the staircase project and all, I mean, by the time he had been actually declared sort of a terrorist because of his wild practical ideas, right? Not exactly terrorist, but he had got actually lost somewhere. Now suddenly he comes up in front of Shenzhen, he puts up a pistol, and he says that Shenzhen would be made the next sword holder. The deterrence policy would fail, and he cannot let that happen. So he will kill Shenzhen and take up the place as the next sword holder. He fires the bullet bursts out in the gun itself, and he loses his hand, and he is caught by the authorities and put into detention. So, if you are paying interest to the story that I have told till now, gun that bursted out, it was actually a work of the Sophons. So, the Sophons wanted Shenzhen to become the next sword holder. So, the ceremony takes place, and as soon as he takes up the trigger, within 5 minutes, the Trisolarans attack. The droplets come out of nowhere. Immediately, the first thing that it did was it destroyed the satellites that were able to communicate the location signal to the outer universe, and formed a blockage around the sun, so that even in future the technology cannot be used. And another droplet rushed behind the Gravity, the only spaceship that has flown out far away from the Earth, to destroy it. So this is the second time humanity is back to the stage where it's not possible for them to think what's going to happen. And Shenshin and the woke community, they didn't know what to do. The Trisolarans continued their attacks. By that time, the Sophon, because of the friendly nature that humanity had, and the Trisolarans had formed until this point, the Sophon was given basically an external shell. So it was given a female body, a robot, which was basically communicating whatever the Trisolarans were speaking to the Sophon. She would do all these tea ceremonies and all. She would carry this katana. She would do karate and all. So this woman communicates that the humans have been given, I think, 1 month or so. The Trisolarans didn't want to wipe the humans out, but we have to create space for them. All the humans need to be moved to Australia. So Australia would basically be the safe haven for the entire human community, which was like 3 billion in number at that point of time. So Australia was to harbor this 3 billion human population. Now various governmental bodies, various Trisolaran bodies were formed in Earth with the support of United Nations who would help with this transfer. So there was this mass movement of people from the entire world to Australia. And people were just, it was just horrible situation that was given. Australia had been converted to more or less like a slum, and the conditions were miserable. Shenshin also moved to Australia, and Trisolarans were advancing. So by that time, a different situation had also cropped up in outer space. Now the Gravity, the spaceship that had flown out and then had a droplet following it, so they have come across a location in space which had some remnants of 4-dimensional beings present there. So, and it's a very lucid manner in which 4 dimension has been explored in the book. So they can move through rooms, through even people, without the other person even feeling. The 4-dimensional person can even pass through this 3rd-dimensional being, right? So physical barriers like walls, enclosures meant nothing. So that thing they had discovered, and humanity had also started to realize that it's not the 3 dimensions only in which time and space is confined to. So higher dimensions are possible, right? So it's a very interesting thing that will add to the plot. Now when the droplet reached Gravity, they used this 4-dimensional space to get inside the droplet and just damage it somehow, right? Because previously we had known that a droplet is made out of a perfect outer casing with strong interactions and nothing could penetrate them. But because of 4 dimension, it didn't matter at all. Then the droplet is destroyed. And with the droplet, Gravity also came to know that Trisolarans have attacked Earth. They are the only survivors. There is no hope left on Earth. So they send out this signal of Earth's location, Earth, and at the same time also the Trisolaran system's location to the universe. So finally the deterrence policy fails. So the Trisolarans also came to know that nothing is going to happen. Even moving to Earth makes no sense. So they just leave. They don't come to Earth. And Earth also, whatever limitations they have given to the human population to move to Australia or are lifted, people started moving back to their own countries and all. Just think about it. So this is like around 40% of that's end. And this is a perfect place on which the entire saga could have ended with a happy ending, right? But this didn't happen. Not exactly a happy ending. At least humans would have averted the trisolar and risk, but the Earth would have been gone. So sort of a happy sad ending. But no, the book had more to come. So now the trisolarans had left. Gravity has moved far away and their communication with Earth had also been lost. So they were considering themselves as the interstellar humans. So they are no longer connected to Mother Earth. Now, on Earth, because the Trisolarans threat is removed, now the threat is of the dark forest attack. So again, humanity started working, science started progressing. Sheng Xin started her own company. She was a scientist, by the way, that I already told, right? She also had a fortune. She had a star in system in which had planets that she can go to. So she was like a celebrity, an entrepreneur at that point of time. So she also starts her space company, which would develop starships and all. So again, the Earth was progressing in its own way, and so some time spent. In the meantime, for the first time ever, we come to know of this godlike civilization. So there is this person, there is this alien who is called a singer. So he would keep on humming songs and all. So he would be on a high-tech spaceship, which would basically be searching the universe for signals of other civilization. And as soon as you would get to know anything about the possibility of a civilization, they would attack and destroy it, or in their term, they would cleanse it. So the singer guy was a frontline executive sort of thing. He had his bosses from whom permissions would be needed for advanced attacks. So she observed the three-body system, and he considered that a planetary dot would be the best way to cleanse this system. So planetary dot is basically a mass of a planet, but the size of a fundamental particle like proton, which would be thrown to a star. It would pass right through the star and destroy the entire system. So that was what was used to destroy the first star on which Luoji had fell this spell, right? So humans are observing this. They observe this photoid. It was called a photoid, I think, to hit the Trisolaran star, one of the stars, and then the entire system destroys itself. So that was just the first scene of this godlike civilization that was given, and then it stops there. You will see what had happened. So they also start preparing their own assumptions that a similar photoid might hit the sun, right? And that might have caused the destruction of the sun. So humans need to move out of the earth. So that acceptance finally came into humanity. Again, there were people in human civilization who would consider this as an escapist ideology. So the people who had the luxury in life, who could afford escaping the earth, they would be looked down upon. So overall discussions on what steps would be taken was not something that was made public. And in a way, it was shown that the entire population of the earth would be made to leave earth. Such a number of spaceships and all would be created, right? That's where the story is at right now. Okay, so moving forward, Sheng Xin already created this company which was again developing space technologies. So she also appoints a CEO to her company whose name is AA. So that's her name, AA. So she is this new age woman who starts managing the company successfully. She takes it to new heights and all. And Sheng Xin basically becomes the founding director who would take, she would not be actively involved in the company, but who would control the strategic decision the company was taking. So that's how things were progressing. Now, out of the blue, this person called Wade, Wade, we keep on coming back to him. So he had already lost his hand last time by trying to kill Shenshin, right? He reaches out to Shenshin, or I think Shenshin reaches out to him. So there, Wade makes an offer, requests Shenshin to give the lead of her company to Wade. He would run it. He would take up practical things that he feels would help the humans survive. Shenshin approves this thing with one condition, that if ever Wade has to come to a situation where human lives would have to be taken to proceed, then he has to wake her up. And Wade agrees to this condition, and she again moves into hibernation. So again, Wade starts working on sci-fi tech. So Wade again is a no-nonsense person. So he knows what needs to be done. So he has this belief that creating these starships by the United Nations or the Starfleet associations will not help. I mean, he strongly believes that humans cannot move out of Earth as a whole. The technology of moving out with the current speeds that they are having, the current speeds that they are wanting to achieve is not good enough. We have to aim for light speed. So he has this belief on light speed, that we have to create spaceships which can move as fast as light, and only that can help save humanity. Again, not all of humanity, right? So yeah, Wade is wrong. So Wade is starting his own developments, and the United Nations are creating more and more spaceships. Shenshin's company is making more and more money through a. Now, I think 40-50 years later, Shenshin is brought back from hibernation. Why? Because at that point of time, Wade needed to take a call. He was doing small-scale discoveries, so he was able to move a fleck of hair with light speed. Right? But now, that was a hair. Now to move an entire spaceship, these experiments needed to be done at a much grander scale, and it cannot be done in secrecy anymore. By the way, United Nations had put a decree on light speed travel, because light speed travel would cause a lot of disturbance in the solar system, and it would give away the location of the solar system to these aliens lurking around. And at the same time, the United Nations also used this to placate the numerous population on the Earth, that light speed, who were thinking that light speed would be used to only evacuate the rich, and the rest of the population would die. So that also helped placate this population, that light speed development has been banned. Now Wade woke Shenshin up, because he now needed to threaten the United Nations to allow him to work. Right? So he created these antimatter bullets, which he would use to threaten the rest of humanity and the decision makers that he has to be allowed to continue his research on light speed. Now Shenshin, being the mother of humanity, she couldn't do this. So she said that light speed research has to stop, and all the threats that Wade was planning to use to allow light speed development has to be stopped immediately. She seizes all the antimatter bullets immediately and destroys these, and Wade, I think, was executed at some point later. This thing stopped. Light speed progress stopped completely. So again, people were again creating all these spaceships. Things were progressing like this only. Anyway, the story, the saga is so long. Somehow at some point I keep on maybe missing the storyline a bit, or maybe telling something that happened in the book later on. Just please forgive me, but I'm trying to just connect the dots, and I hope you find my explanation coherent. So at some point, the Trisolarians, who still had their Sophon that they had created, right, the human-like robot. So through that Sophon, they sent out a message that Yoon Tianming wanted to talk to Shenshin. It was something that came completely out of the blue. In a way, Shenshin was happy also that Tianming, the first project that she had started, had actually reached its goal. And he was also hoping that she could get some more knowledge about what way humanity can take at that point of time. But it was made extremely clear to her that Yoon Tianming could not give any strategic information to Shenshin, and if at any point of time the Trisolarans realize that something, the value is being given to Shenshin, they would immediately destroy the ship. Right? So that was the threat under which the meeting was set up. So the meeting was set up at a Lagrange point of the solar system. Lagrange point is again the point between two bodies at which the gravity of either of the two bodies cancels. Here in this case, it's the Lagrange point for the Earth and the Sun. So that's why the meeting is set. So now Yoon Tianming, and later on we would come to know that all the movies, the literature, etc., that was being generated by Trisolarans were actually influenced by Yoon Tianming in the Trisolaran captivity. Right? So Yoon Tianming again. So Shenshin moves in a spaceship to the Lagrange point. Yoon Tianming again was positioned there through virtual reality, and he starts narrating 3 stories to try to convey his message. The summary of the story are literally extremely interesting, funny, thought-provoking at the same time. So the story basically gave, humans were able to extract 3 ideas from the story. Right? There are 3 survival techniques that the human could decipher. The first one is the bunker project. So what it meant was, solar system has a unique advantage. The sun has large planets also, and a multiple number of large planets, which the Trisolaran system or the other spell star before that didn't have. So even if the sun is destroyed, if we are able to take refuge in the shadow of a large planet like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, we will be able to survive. The sun would be lost, but in spaceships, if we are able to create sustainable fuels, if we are able to create sustainable sources of food and all, we would be able to survive. So that was the bunker project. The second one involved, I think, light speed travel. So develop technology that would, again, it was similar to what Wade was working on, right? So develop technology that can propel us to as fast as light, which will help us move away from the solar system in time and take human civilization to some other star, right? But then all of humanity couldn't escape. First one in the bunker project, humanity still had hope that everyone can be taken out from Earth. And the third was the black domain. You change the fundamental constant like light's speed of light, you slow it down to such level that it's never able to escape the gravitational pull of the sun. What it means, it effectively creates a sort of black hole. I wouldn't say a black hole because black hole again is a point of singularity and nothing can exist there. So the solar system would be there, but no information from solar system would be going out in the universe. And because no information, not even light is going out, it would basically remain unnoticed by anywhere out there in the universe. So these were the 3 plans that were extracted from the stories narrated by Yoon Tianming. Now the 2 stories were discarded right away because we have to ensure that everyone in the world survives. And secondly, black domain, it's a much, people are not able to imagine how this can be achieved. So they started working on the bunker project. that's how the Earth was again progressing. So the time frames I'm talking about are like in centuries. Centuries are passing. Again, Sphinxin is also, I think she went to hibernation again, and she was again. She also was involved in the task of, okay, I already mentioned she went to meet Young Tianming, right? Two theories were completely discarded. The theory of the bunker project was also only the one that was considered. And again, because Shanxian's company worked in this domain, it again started making fortune. So now again we move to the Singer civilization, the godlike civilization. So they had just destroyed the Trisolarine civilization with the planetary dot, and they also observed the civilization of Earth. Now the Singer, who is the frontline executive, he observes the uniqueness of the Earth civilization. He sees that it's a complicated planetary system. Apart from the Sun, there are 8 other planets, I won't say 9. There are 8 other planets, and some planets are really huge. So, what he actually thinks out in a song, that a planetary dot would destroy the Sun, but at the same time, these planets would somehow be still able to survive and might even harbor some sort of life and might pose some threat in future. So he needed permission to use a more sophisticated level of weapon. So the weapon suggestion that he comes up with is a dual vector foil. So from planetary dot, this moves to a dual vector foil. So this has 3 dimensions. So just think about it, a single sheet of this book. So it's a dual vector foil that he suggests for this cleansing, and he just asks his superior for, he's thinking that it would pass through a lot of approval processes to sanction a dual vector foil, but his manager just nonchalantly gives him approval to do whatever he wants. So that's how the corporate approval process also seems to run, right? So he gets approval of this dual vector foil, and he shoots this dual vector foil towards solar system. And Earth also notices that something has been moving towards Earth. Initially, it looked like a credit card. It looked like a film of transparent air. When it reached the starship's fleet, what they did was, they first sent probes to touch it. The probe would pass right through it. Nothing would have happened. The sheet of paper would be then taken inside one more of the Starfleet's ship. People were again observing it. They were trying to touch it. What does it do? Does it bite? Does it cut my hand into pieces? Finally, what happened was the sheet started expanding, and then started gobbling everything around it and converting everything around it from 3 dimension to 2 dimension. So that's what a dual vector foil means. So it's a dimensional reducer. So it will basically reduce anything in its vicinity, like a black hole. It will sunk anything around it from 3 dimension to 2 dimension. So everything would basically be a painted copy of the 3-dimensional structure. I think some reference were also made to Van Gogh's painting of the Starry Night, where the sun and the stars were shown to be in 2 dimension, and there was some human who was trying to observe it at a scene of horror as the entire city is being engulfed into 2 dimension. So just think about humanity now. Nothing that they could do now can save either the Earth or the solar system or the entire all the bunkers that they would have created. Nothing would have helped. And it's basically the only thing that could have saved them, that could have saved some part of humanity, the light speed ships that maybe could have taken some humans out of Earth to far flung outer space. No. We literally didn't have anything. We were so sure of what we were strategizing was right. But fortunately for humans, Wade in his dying days had created just one light speed ship, and that ship, by turn of fate or whatever, came to control of Senshin. Again, the first task that was given to the spaceship was to fly to Pluto, where basically Earth had created a museum where, for example, Van Gogh's painting, I think the city by Yellow River, I think there was this famous Chinese painting, which was against and asked Shenzhen to take out from that museum and that spread around the space of the dual vector foil in such a way that it gets imprinted on the dual vector foil like a portrait. Because if it's there in the museum and all the other artifacts were also lying there, and if it gets absorbed on the dual vector foil, things would get just mumbled up. For example, if you try to paint a box, on top of it, if you paint a circle, on top of it, you paint a tree, ultimately someone who is observing it at a later point of time would not see anything. So humans still had that hope that at least some work of art would remain, that future civilization or anywhere else, if they find this vector, this sheet of paper, they would come to know what happened. And Luoji was the controller of that museum. Luoji was still surviving. So again, a lot of story also hovers around which all artifacts save and on. And finally, Luoji also tells Senshin that this ship that she has with her is capable of light speed. It can carry only 3 persons. That Luoji tells her after she has left Pluto. I mean, if Luoji wanted, he could have escaped on that ship, but he just didn't want to do. He had had enough. So Senshin and Aa escaped the solar system. Behind her, she could see one after another everything falling into this dual vector and getting converted into a painting. So Yun Tianming incidentally had also talked about this in one of his stories, which only much later humans could understand. He had talked of a magician who was, whoever that magician would paint on a sheet of paper, that person would die. The person would just get converted to a sheet of paper. So this is the thing, this is the weapon that Yun Tianming was trying to hint to. And light speed was also something that Yun Tianming hinted, which humans ignored completely. Now coming to the third thing, black domain, that was also something Yun Tianming had hinted, but humanity had ignored. I'll come to black domain some point later. No, let me just explain what black domain is. So black domain is basically a resultant of light speed movement itself. And how is light speed movement was discovered by Wade was also shown in elaborate detail. So it basically uses a gravitational curve to change the space-time around the probe, and then so I'll not get into the details. Just go and search for any how a gravitational probe. You will get to know how this thing was discovered. The thing is, this gravitational way of movement was able to produce light speed, but at the same time, nothing. So it would leave a trail of black domain because the particle is moving faster than light. So the trail that it's leaving behind, light has been reduced to a much lower speed. And if this is close enough to a sun, to a star and all, I mean the gravitational pull of that star would be good enough that light from that trail can never escape. So that basically creates a black domain. So black domain is basically an artifact of light speed movement itself. Now Shenshin and are on that light speed ship. Now the direction she has set for that ship was the location of the star that Yoon Tianming had gifted her. So she reaches there. She was also quite excited that after 800 years or so that has passed, she is the only human being who is alive apart from the interstellar humans that had escaped. She's not the only one. She and Ah. She reaches the planet. It's habitable, and she finds traces that Yoon Tianming was here and has recently just left somewhere. At the same time, after she and Ah had just landed, there's one more spaceship that came there, and it was having another character, a scientist from the spaceship Gravity. So he had also got this signal, and he had come to the planet. So they meet him, but they don't meet Yoon Tianming. So they were discussing. I think there were lots of stories that were going on at that point of time. They would also show that Ah is attracted towards this person who had come from gravity. I mean, the simple logic of mathematics were going on, right? Shenshin had Yoon Tianming, so Ah needed to find someone, and that was, I think, Gray Yifan was the name of that person. So at that point of time, they also get a message from another planet that was there in the solar system itself. So there, a spaceship an alien spaceship had landed. They thought it could be Yoon Tianming, or they wanted to research, or just wanted to use the human curiosity that leads to the doom of humans every time. They immediately left for that the other planet in the spaceship, and they leave they leave Ah behind on this planet. They reach there, they find that it's not Yoon Tianming, but some other alien species that had reached there, and it had already left. But to their surprise, it was a light speed ship that had landed there. It had left its black domain trail around, which literally meant that the entire solar system of this star, because of the gravitation of this star, was converted into a black. And it would literally mean millions of years before Tenshi and Ifan could finally land back on the planet on which Yoon Tianming was. So they start off on the spaceship. All their usual modes of communication through radio signals were lost because all these are light speed modes of communication which will literally not work. Some neuroning, I think there was some developments on neural system of communication that was started. That was also developed. So the neural mode of communication, some basic computers were also running, but not the advanced ones. So they started for the planet, and on the planet itself, Yoon Tianming, who had just gone into the forest for some time, he comes back to the location where the ship had landed, and he only finds that Ah is the only person who is left there. There's no sign of Shenshin, his long lost love for whom he was waiting for so long. Just look at this situation. He knew that the spaceship from the nearby planet was trying to reach him, but it would be like millions of years by the time it reaches the planet, and everything would be dead and done by the time it reaches there. Yoon Tianming's side of story basically closes down here. Detsen doesn't explore his life on the planet with Ah anymore. The story shifts to Shenshin and Giltan. So after these, I don't know whether it's million or billion of years. Let me just check the book once. So all the ages, all the eras have been presented as a table of era at the start of the book itself. Yep. So this black domain era for this solar system lasted for around 18 million years. Right? So till around for around 18 million, it took around 18 million years for Shenzhen and Weifan to finally land on the planet. And after landing, they find that 18 million years have passed. So they find the graves of and Yun Tianming. And they also find a signal directing them to go to a particular place. They go to that place and there was this opening, there was a small portal sort of thing through which they can move to some other place. So they were speculating at first whether to move there or not. Finally decided they will move. So they went into this portal, and on the next, behind this portal, they saw that it's a complete middle-aged village lying in front of them. There were windmills, there is a beautiful house, there were fields of agriculture all around. So, and they moved all around and tried to explore the place a bit. And what they found was that it was a square area of 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer dimension. And they also found that there was this woman who was the Sophon from the long past waiting there, welcoming them. So they meet Sophon, and Sophon basically gives you a brief about what place they were in. So they were in a universe created separately only for them by Yun Tianming. So it was Yun Tianming who had created the universe and gifted to Henshin where she could live. So she and Grey Ifan started living there. Sophon also told about Yun Tianming who had come there, but then he had to leave for some other task that he had to perform. So by this time, Yun Tianming had become a universal being who had no limitation of time or space. It will be explained in much more detail in the extension of the trilogy by Bao Shu, the redemption of time. So that's why I said that it's a very integral part of the story. I'll be coming to it in the next book. So, and they started living. Sophon also told that there were supplies good enough for 1 year. After that, they would have to start. They would have to start plowing their own fields. There were robots all around who would help in the tasks, but Kenshin and Gay Ifan would have to take responsibility of running this universe on their own to some extent. So that's how they started living. After some time, we get a message from the universes outside this universe. So technology had also progressed a lot. I mean, humans were able to go anywhere, so technology would have had sufficient progress till that time. So they received this signal from somewhere in the outside universe that the world has had a lot of destruction. Everything was dying, things were going wrong everywhere. There were all sorts of attacks happening everywhere. The world needed a fresh start. The world needed to go through the process of Big Bang again, and for that everything needed to be crunched. But there was this big issue that had come up because of the progress that each of these civilizations had made. Each means a lot of these civilizations had made. A lot of small universes, the pockets of universes were created by these individual civilizations, and they were holding mass that had been taken from the grand universe. So in order to go through the entire process of Big Crunch and Big Bang and the establishment of the universe, every mass that had been taken up from the grand universe had to be returned. And the only beings who had survived, who would be out of this grand scale of universal crunch and Big Bang happening. For example, Yun Tianming, Chen Xin, who had escaped grief and who had escaped, the only thing that they can carry forward is the information. They cannot carry forward any mass, right? So it was time to say goodbye to this tiny universe in which Chen Xin and Griffin were living. There were also some inferences of some love that had popped up between the two. We were the only two survivors. Right? So they also decide that they also align with this thought process of universe starting again. Again, uh, the universe. I mean, they wanted to. They were also informed that the universe started off as a 11-dimensional universe, but because of this dimensional war that was happening around, number of dimensions were becoming lower and lower and lower. Currently, it's at 3. Again, it will come down to 2 and lower, and ultimately there will be nothing left. So before that happens, the universe has to go through a resetting phase. So Shang-Chi agrees to this. She starts sending everything that was present in her universe through the portal to the actual universe, to the grand universe. Finally, while leaving the universe, Shang-Chi asks Grey Ifan if he can leave the 5 kilogram with the fish bowl back into the universe that they were living in. Grey Ifan he says, of course we can leave it behind. This 5 kilograms would not mean that the universe would stop, the big crunch would stop, and the universe would fail to reset itself. I will not comment anything on this. They leave it behind and they move out of tiny universe. So yeah, that's the end of the saga. This video is going to be long and I have already missed a lot of content of the book. Be able to grasp everything only when we read the book. I am not even touching, like, I'm discussing in superficial details of whatever is there in the book. There are so many climaxes, so many such stories that go around. Please do read the book. I'll meet you soon with the closure series, because the story of Yoon Tian-ming is to continue. The story of what happens after the what happens basically after Shang-Chi comes out of a tiny universe. Then how is this dimensional warfare taking place? How is the universe getting reduced from 11 dimensions to 3 dimensions now, right? So what will happen in future? So who is the one who is creating this dimensional warfare, and who is the one who is saving the universe from this dimensional warfare? So all these details, who are the Trisolarans finally, who are the Trisolarans, that will be discussed. What is the Singer civilization, that will be discussed. So all these things will be discussed in the extended series book, and I'll come up with the review for that one also pretty soon. See you. Bye. Look at what has happened to my that's another story. So see you soon. Thank you for viewing this video. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Please support me, guys. I will keep on posting everything. So I am a wanderer. You will find videos about me traveling around the world. You will find videos about me cooking food. You will find videos about me reviewing novels. Anything that comes up to my mind, you can find unboxing videos. You can find tech-related videos. And yes, you will pretty soon find my own podcast also that I will be starting. So everything will be able to find in my channel. Please subscribe, please stay tuned, and please ring the bell icon. Thank you.